Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland, and here I am by the grave of John Keats in il Cimitero a Cattolica at Rome, the non-Catholic cemetery, or the Protestant cemetery as it's sometimes known. So I shan't recount the whole of Keats's biography, but he died in Rome at the age of 25. In one letter he wrote to a friend, "I think I shall be remembered amongst the English poets after my death." Seemed a very vain aspiration at that age, but it's one which came true. And so he always feared he would be forgotten, that his work wouldn't count for much, that it was widely appreciated even in his lifetime. So I shall read you the following inscription. It's got the lyre above, as in the ancient Greek musical instrument, because he wrote lyrical poetry, as though it were to be recited to the lyre, as in it would be turned into songs. Lyre, as in L-Y-R-E. This grave contains all that was mortal of a young English poet who, on his deathbed and in the bitterness of his heart at the malicious power of his enemies, desired these words to be engraven on his tombstone: "Here lies one whose name is writ in water." February the 24th, 1821. So, writ in water, how long was that going to last? So he feared that it would be washed away. Or is it because he thought it would somehow be miraculous, being written in water? And his literary apotheosis owes much to his friend Joseph Seven here, who was slightly younger than him, and was here with him in Rome when he died, and helped to really evangelize for the cause of John Keats after his death, became the British consul at Rome, and lived on till 1879. And there's Arthur Seven behind there. I'm not sure if that's his son or whatever. So anyway, just so much to say about John Keats, and how I wish I could have met him. And this is the closest I'm ever going to get, to think that he just lies 6 feet beneath my feet. Whatever remains of his skeleton is something. Here I am, touching his tombstone, as though I can somehow connect with him. I so wish I could have met him. What I would say to him, what would he be like in person, to know him better. Someone whose poetry I've appreciated already most of my life, and I've already lived much longer than he has. You know, I vainly wish I could achieve a fraction of what he did. So he was an absolutely marvelous poet who I think probably never wrote a poor poem throughout his life. So he died of tuberculosis close to Piazza di Spagna, at the foot of the Spanish Steps. So this horrific disease, coughing up blood. I can't remember, consumption they often used to call it in those times. So I'm not sure Percy Bysshe Shelley was at the funeral, but Shelley himself died a year and a half later, in July 1822. I shall now go and see Shelley's tomb, well, where his ashes are interred. So memorials to Keats. You'll notice it doesn't actually say his name, a young English poet. So you had to know, as though his name could be forgotten. Did he want it to be forgotten? But obviously his name echoes down the ages. His work shall be appreciated by the millennia. So and then someone composed a poem in his honor. Keats, if thy cherished name be writ in water, each drop has fallen from some mourner's cheek, a sacred tribute such as heroes seek, though oft in vain for dazzling deeds of slaughter, sleep on, not honoured less for an epitaph so meek. Or Keats himself wrote the words, "I in the very temple of delight, veiled melancholy has her sovereign shrine." There's another line of his, I can't remember which poem it comes from, saying, "O soft embalmer of the midnight still." Or what else did he write about? To cease upon a midnight without pain. Perhaps, I'm not sure if it was in the throes of his death struggle when he thought of that, and he suffered a ghastly death apparently, and Joseph Seven recorded some of his last words, and that finally, as life gradually ebbed away, he faded almost imperceptibly. He might have simply been slumbering. Well, that is enough about John Keats. I wish I could come back here and recite some of his poetry. Perhaps I shall, and maybe be here on the bicentenary of his death, or when was his interment, 2 or 3 days later. That's enough from John Keats.